All right, thank you everybody for coming. This week, the shir is dedicated, part of the shir is dedicated for the birthday of our dear friend Guy. Eliyahu. Viner. Ben Yaakov. Which is a great name. It's his birthday this coming Motzei Shabbos. So Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. This year should be a year full of bracha, atzlacha, shefa. And so he's donating part of the shir. Obviously, whoever wants to fill in, there's openings. Whoever wants to go extra, there's even openings for that. All right, so we'll start. There's I heard there was a famous principal. Her name was Mrs. Or Rebbitzin Soloveitchik, and she had a school in Muncie, a girls' school in Muncie. Anybody are familiar? Anybody heard them? What? You heard of her? So there's many stories about her, but there is something she said, which interesting. She said that she doesn't understand why. She does not understand why people, when they tell you something, they say, a regular term they say is, I'll tell you the truth. You know what? I'll tell you the truth. Like, they say it in such a way, right? I'll tell you the truth. Like, what do you mean? I'm now going to tell you the truth. Usually, I'm not sure what I'm telling you. But now, at this setting, I'm going to tell you the truth. So she said, a person should be telling the truth, that when he's saying something over, he shouldn't have this need to use this term of, I'm going to tell you the truth now. What is this? Where does it come from? So I want to just zoom into this. There's one of the great poskim that we had in the past. He passed away probably 20-something years ago or something like that. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Anybody hear of him? Everybody heard of Rabbi Shlomo Zalman. So Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach is one of the great poskim, and you grew up in Yerushalayim, one of the big poskim that we have. He was one of the first poskim, and he was very young. He wrote a sefer about electricity. It was a new thing. And this psakim, Shlomo Zalman says, that's like a regular common in every halacha shir. There's, Rabbi Shlomo Zalman says. So Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach in his early, Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, besides for being a great posek in Yerushalayim, one of the greatest poskim that were, that we have today, even till today, he had another position. He was a Rosh Yeshiva in Kol Torah Yeshiva. There's a yeshiva in Yerushalayim called Kol Torah. So Rabbi Shlomo Zalman, Shalom. So Rabbi Shlomo Zalman, when he was a Yeshiva in Kol Torah, he was there. He used to give tests to the Bachrim. He used to give a shir. That was part of it. That was his, that's what he did. He was a Rosh Yeshiva. So when it goes, or back in the day, when Kol Torah were looking for someone to be a Rosh Yeshiva, so he went for kind of like a test, a job interview, you could call it a job interview, and he gave a shir. This is Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. He was probably younger than how we know him, but he was a young guy, and he was looking for a position. And this yeshiva's Kol Torah, where his yeshiva was looking for some, a great Talmud Chacham to be a yeshiva. So he came, and in the part of the job interview is giving a shir and see how he delivers a shir. So he gave a shir. He sounded to be Spanish, I think. He gave a shir klali, and then the sugya. And one of the Rosh Yeshivos in Kol Torah, his name was Rabbi Yonah Marzbach. He came from Germany. Yeshivas Kol Torah originally started in Germany, and they transferred to Israel from Germany. And Rabbi Yonah Marzbach was one of the old school from Germany, and he asked Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach in that shir that Rabbi Shlomo Zalman is trying to get the job. He asked him a question on what he was saying, something on the sugya. So Rabbi Shlomo Zalman thought for a second, and he told him, "I was wrong. I'm wrong." So then Rabbi Shlomo Zalman, continued the shir, and he got home. He told his wife, probably I'm not going to get the job, because I prepared a shir, and I was mistaken with something. He told his wife, I had on the spot 3 things to answer the Rabbi Yonah Marzbach that asked the question. There was 3 different mahalchim, 3 different things I could have said in order to answer the question, and not say I'm wrong. But I feel like I thought that the question is better than those answers I was going to give, so I was wrong. And I didn't want to say a lie and give an answer, and just in order to continue, in order to, the shir should look good. This is what Rabbi Shlomo Zalman told his wife, and probably I won't get the job. And then, as we know, obviously, there's always a happy end of these stories, or the stories we hear of, there's always a happy end. So this story is one of the stories we heard of, and the happy end is Rabbi Yonah Marzbach. He was I guess you could say from Germany, a Yeki, or just a very honest person, and he was so impressed that he said I was wrong, and he didn't try to still say something, but right away he realized that he was wrong in what he was saying. He said he was wrong, and he hired him to be the Reshiva. So, Baruch Hashem, it all worked out. But we're, and just to add, we need to realize that, it seems to us like not such a major thing, but if we could put ourselves in Rabbi Shlomo Zalman's shoes, this is Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, he did not really have an income. It's not the Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach that we know of today, that is famous, and everyone are buying his books. It's a young Rabbi Shlomo Zalman that has a bunch of kids, that's looking for a position, or has a position to fill that he feels will be good for him, and he thought that if he would have said those answers, those not accurate answers, he would have get the job. When he came home, he told his wife that probably he's not getting the job because he didn't say it. So this is Rabbi Shlomo Zalman in those early years, and this is what he's looking for, and he will not say something that he doesn't think is true. So there's just eye-opening to realize what a godless went on over there. Halavai, we could get something to it. But, where is this whole thing of lying, not lying come from? Of saying sheker, saying emes? Where does the sugya come from? So there's many different places. One of them is from this week's parsha. And I want to zoom into the one from this week's parsha and learn up something from it. So the thing from this week's parsha, the pasuk says the following. 1 minute.
Yep, it's very romantic.
So the pasuk says like this. Surely, did you take? Yeah, it's all kosher. So the pasuk says like this. Lo satem mishpatim v'yoncha berivo. It's a halacha for dayanim. You should not switch you should not move the din. You should not matem, means tilt the law. When somebody's coming to you for din, that's the first pasuk. The next pasuk is midvar sheker tirchak. Anything that's a sheker, stay away from it. V'naki v'tzadik al tarug, etc. So the pashtus of the pasuk, we can just read the psukim. What it's mashma is, it's a halacha for dayanim. When there's a dayan with a din Torah going on, so he needs to be careful not to say a lie. That's how it's mashma in the psukim. It's bringing it in hilchos dayanim. It's talking about when you're a dayan, how you're supposed to judge what's going on. And that's the pashtus of the psukim. However, there's a fascinating Gemara. Now I'll start before this Gemara. So Mr. Resnick, we were discussing last week. We're discussing, first of all, Yashar Koach for the recordings, and there's tremendous Hakar Satov, I'm sure, from everybody here, because everybody after the Shir go and watch it again and listen and do a Chazara during the week, so Yashar Koach. But last week we were discussing the Tesla, right? We're discussing the Tesla, how amazing it is. You could turn on the heat from your phone. You're sitting in the shul, and you're thinking of going outside, so you step out to the coat room because your phone is in the coat room. It's not in the Bismedrash, and then you go there and you turn on the heat and you come back and wait 5 minutes, and then go outside, and everything's great, right? But so that's what we're discussing after the shir last week, for whatever purpose it was after last week's shir. But what if I think that Tesla is a terrible car? I think it's a terrible car. It's bad for the environment. it's no good, and many other things. Let's say I think that. Yeah, obviously I don't, because Tesla is for sure an amazing car. What? You're even arguing with me. You're saying it's better for them. I'm telling you what I think, yeah? So now, am I allowed to come to Mr. Is there a problem for me to come to Mr. Resnick and tell him, you know what? You're telling me about your Tesla, how amazing it is? I think it's a terrible car. Or no, I need it. Even if I think it's a terrible car, it's a bad mushal, because everyone are like, well, why would you think Tesla is a bad car? Like they're saying, like, okay, you say, you know, what? You're bringing it. So we'll see if you're allowed to say that. So the question is there a problem to tell him that, or is there a problem? A guy bought he has a purchase. He bought something. He bought a car. He bought a couch. He bought a camera. He bought whatever it is. You should tell him this is a great purchase. Wow, it's amazing. It looks great. It's it's performing great. Everything about it is great. It really is good. Maybe one day I'll think of buying such a thing. Should you say that, or should you say your honest thoughts about it? So is it a sheker to tell the person that's great because you think it's terrible? I think his phone is terrible. It's a bad phone. You should buy a different type. You should buy a flip phone, right? So is there a problem of sheker telling him that the purchase is good? What? Lashon hara. Maybe lashon hara. Maybe. So there's a Gemara about this. The Gemara, there's a halacha. Tanu Rabbanan, the halacha is in Hilchos Kiddushin, in Even Ezer, in Hilchos Kiddushin. Halacha Siman Samachay, it's brought down in the Torah, but it's off of Gemara, and it's a fascinating Gemara. Keitzad merakdim lifnei hakala. So what is it? Keitzad merak? How do you dance in front of a kala? Rashi explains merakdim is, what do you sing in front of a kala? There's a chassan and kala, they're both there. What do you tell, what do you sing, what do you praise the chassan and kala? What do you sing specifically about the kala? What do you praise the kala? Beis Shammai say, Beis Shammai omrim, kala kemois shehi. Whatever she is, that's what you say. She's good, she's good. If she's not good, maybe don't say anything. You say as is. Kemois shehi. As is purchase. You don't try to bump things up or bump things down, right? That's Beis Shammai. Ubeis Hillel omrim, kala na'a v'chasuda. She's gorgeous and she has a chen, a chesed, chasuda. Like by Esther, which is coming up, is vatisa chen v'chesed lefanav. There's a chut shel chesed, like a certain chen. You say, this kala, she's gorgeous, she's not, and she has a chen, like a special chen. No matter what, even if she's not, even if you think she's not na'a v'chasuda. Beis Hillel say, kala na'a v'chasuda on everybody. Amurla and Beis Shammai leBeis Hillel. So Beis Shammai tell Beis Hillel, Hareisha hoisa chigeres lisuma. If she does not fit the bill of gorgeous and chesed around, like you tell her she's beautiful. You say she's na'a. You say that she has a chut shel chesed. How can you say such a thing? VeHaTorah amra midvar sheker tirchak. The Torah says, midvar sheker tirchak. So how could you say such a thing to a kala? And that's the pasuk in our week's parsha. So Beis Shammai, the Beis Hillel answered. So this is a question of Beis Shammai. So it seems like a great question, right? Midvar sheker tirchak. You cannot say something that's not accurate. So Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel answered the Beis Shammai. Amar and Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. L'divreichem, according to your opinion, mi lokach mekach rami nashuk. Someone that he actually buys a bad purchase. A bad purchase, mekach ra. Yeshabchena beheinav or yeganenu beheinav. Should you tell him it's a terrible thing? Or you should say, wow, after he bought it, this is before the days of Amazon returns, just print the label and send it back. He bought it, he has it. Yeshabchena beheinav. Avade yeshabchena beheinav. So this is the answer of Beis Hillel, the Beis Shammai, and then the Gemara ends off a halacha from this. Mikan Amru, from this divrei Beis Hillel that said that whoever buys a purchase in the store, even if you think it's bad, you should always mishabach it. Le'olam teh daitay shel adam me'oreves im habriyos. A person should always be involved. When he's involved with people, he should always make them feel good in a way that the way Rashi says it. La'asus le'ish ve'ish kirtzono, his ratzon, I guess, to hear the good stuff. And based off this halacha, that when someone buys a purchase, Beis Hillel say, Avadi, you should say it. Avadi, you should tell him it's good. For sure, you should tell him it's good. This is what's learned from this Divrei Beis Hillel. And the question in Pshat and Gemara is obvious. Beis Shammai said a very good taina, or claim. What's taina? How do you say claim? Very good.
Very good point.
It says midvar sheker tirchak, and this is inaccurate. How do you step away from that? And Beis Hillel are answering them back, and it seems like they're just bringing another case that Beis Shammai could just say the same thing. What would you say if you buy something that's bad? Yeah, same thing. Midvar sheker tirchak, just like a kala. It's the same. No difference. So a guy gets married, and a kala you don't say. It's like mekachra, you don't say. So why it seems like Beis Hillel are answering the Beis Shammai and say over there, according to what you're saying, it should be like that over there, and of course over there you say that not. So by kala also. So this question, the question is clear. Question's clear.
I guess you want to say again.
The what?
One more time.
So Beis Shammai said that by a kala you say as is. You don't add up anything. And the reason for that is because midvar sheker tirchak, you don't make up stuff. You should step away from sheker. And the Beis Hillel told them, according to that, if someone buys something in the store that you think is bad, of course you should tell them it's good. That's what Beis Hillel are answering to Beis Shammai. They're telling, according to what you're saying, it comes out that you'll also need to say that it's bad. Also over there. And over there, of course, it seems like the way the Gemara is presenting it, Beis Hillel are telling Beis Shammai, over there, you for sure agree with us that when someone has a purchases something, then of course you should tell them that it's good. So it seems like there's two cases. It seems like Beis Shammai should hold the same thing by both. So what is Beis Hillel?
If I buy something from the store and I don't like it, I should not tell the owner?
No. Let's say you buy
Something from the store, or someone else buys something from the store and I see them buy it, I should tell them it's good.
Yeah.
Even if I don't like it?
Even if you don't like it. Yeah, so let's say I purchased, I'm trying to think, let's say I purchased a thing that could get, the laser if the police are coming, if I purchase such a thing, right? So then you see it and you're like, oh, that thing doesn't really work. No, you should say, don't worry, it's a great purchase. There it's a problem to say it's a great purchase. If you think it doesn't work, I'll get a ticket because of it, and I'm relying on it. So maybe you should tell me the truth. But in general, you shouldn't, you should always tell me that what I bought is good. Right. That's what Beis Hillel are telling Beis Shammai. But Beis Shammai have the same point of, no, midvar sheker tirchak, say what you think. Don't say something else. So it seems like Beis Hillel are coming with another case, and over there all of a sudden Beis Shammai will agree. So this question, it seems like Tosfos on the, right over there in this Gemara in Ksubos, Tosfos asked this question, and Tosfos says, Ubeis Shammai Savri, about the purchase, when a person purchases something, Beis Shammai agree that when someone purchases something, of course you need to tell them it's great. You need to tell them it's a great thing. They say that Keitzad Mirakti Mufnak Kala, it's a halacha. That when you go in front of a Kala, you say, she's the best thing around. That Chachamim won't make such a takana because the Torah, it says in the Torah, Midvar Sheker Tirchak, we don't make a takana that doesn't so much fit with this Midvar Sheker Tirchak. This is what Beis Shammai holds. But of course, if you're in front of such a situation, someone bought something and he's asking you what do you think about it, then of course, even Beis Shammai agree, you should tell him it's amazing. So what that we see from this Tosfos is Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are not really arguing at all. They both agree that a person should always say that it's amazing. Your purchase is great. However, Beis Hillel say that that this halacha that you should always say that's great. They took it even further. The Chachamim made a takana that everybody should go in front of a kala and say she's always na v'chasuda. That's how Beis Hillel take it. Beis Shammai say we don't take it that far. Chachamim will not make such a takana. That seems like according to how Tosfos explains it there, it seems like that's what comes out. And the question is, why are you really allowed to do that? It says midvar sheker tirchak. How can a person come and say things that are in a simple way that are sheker? How can we say that? That's the first question I want to ask. There's another Gemara Yeah, the question is clear. Basically, what is the answer to what Beis Shammai was saying? Beis Shammai were saying,
Tell the truth or not tell the truth. That is.
you just got to tell the truth. And all of a sudden, we're hearing that there's like Beis Shammai, even they that say you always got to tell the truth. You're supposed to tell somebody that his purchase is good, even if you think it's not it's not. So you're not saying the truth. What will we answer with that? There's another Gemara which I want to share with everyone because there's a few stories in this Gemara, and stories are always good. So the Gemara says the following. A person for peace, a person is allowed to change. How do we know that? So what's the story? The story, it's in Parshas Vayechi. Yaakov Avinu passed away, and what that happened next was the brothers were nervous that they caused all this harm to Yosef. The brothers of Yosef were nervous. They caused all this harm to Yosef. And while Yaakov was alive, Yosef didn't want to get back at them because of the kavod of Yaakov. For Yaakov Avinu was around, he's still keeping things calm. But now that Yaakov passed away, there's no more Yaakov around, he would go ahead and he would get back at them on all the harm they did for him all the years. So the brothers of Yosef came and said, they made up a whole thing to Yosef, and they said, Avicha Tziva, Yaakov Avinu told us, told us to tell you, he was mitzvah that you shouldn't cause first harm, and you should mochel v'avera sana l'chatasam. They made up a whole thing for the peace. They wanted to stay in peace, not to get into argument with him. So the Gemara learns from this that even though a person is not allowed to lie, a person shall not lie, but if it's for peace purposes, you're allowed to lie. That's number one. Number two, Reb Nassan Omer mitzvah. Not only that's allowed, but you even have a mitzvah to lie. You have a mitzvah to lie in order to bring peace. This is fascinating. Not only you're allowed to, but you have a mitzvah. And where do you learn this from? So there's a fascinating story in the Navi Shmuel. When Shmuel went to how do you say Mamlich David, Moshech David, what? Coronate with a T. Coronate. So when Shmuel went to coronate David HaMelech, so Hashem told him, Shaul was still around, and Hashem told him, listen, you go to Beis Halachmi, the Yishai Beis Halachmi, that's what Al Yad Ben Yishai Beis Halachmi, it comes from this, Beis Lachem. Go to Beis Halachmi, and over there's Yishai with his sons, and one of them, I'm not telling you now who, but one of them is going to be a Melech. It's a whole long story there, but Shmuel told HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if I go there, Shaul will hear that, Shmuel, he was the Navi, is going to Beis Lachem, and he's going to put another king instead of him. He will come out there and kill me. It's not very peaceful things will happen out of this whole story. So Hashem told him, so tell everybody that you're going to Beis Lachem, the Makriv Karbanos. That's what you should tell people. Even though you're going for, the coronate, one of the sons of Yishai, but still, tell everybody you're going for Lizboach Zevach LaHashem, for Karbanos. So the Gemara learns from this, what? Anoint. What's anoint?
That's to make him king, right?
Make him anoint, also with a T. Right. Yeah. So anoint one of the sons of the Yishai, and so he had a tzivui. He had a tzivui from Hashem to say sheker, to tell everybody the purpose, a different purpose, even though it was sheker, it wasn't the thing, but for the sake of peace. So you see from this that it's like as if Hashem gave a tzivui, a general tzivui. You learn from this, your mitzvah. This is what Hashem is commanding, that for peace you should change your word. Okay, that's number two. And number three is even further on. The Rabbi Yishmael Tane, Gadol HaShalom. Shalom is so big. She'af HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shina Bo. Even HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not only us humans, we change our words for the sake of peace, but even Hashem changed for the sake of peace. And where's that? That's by Avram Avinu, that Sarah Imenu, when she heard the nevuah that she'll have children, and so she laughed and she said, how could that be? My husband, Adoni Zaken. And when Hashem said over the story, the Avram, and he said, Lama tzachak Sarah, why did Sarah laugh? He said, Hashem switched the story and said that she said, Va'ani zakanti, that she's old, not that her husband is old. Why? Because even by 90-something-year-old couples, if the wife will say, he's an old man, he's an old fogey, it doesn't do good stuff. Even though they're already 90 and they carry this for many years, Hashem, because of that extra piece that there will be between them, Hashem changed. And not just on a side note, what's Afa Kadosh Baruch Hu? So I think, and probably there's a better answer out there, but I think that we us humans, we can lie. We have emes and we have sheker. We have tov and ra. But by Hashem, there's no musag of sheker. Hashem is the emes, chosamo emes. So it's Afa Kadosh Baruch Hu, how we see HaKadosh Baruch Hu, l'chora, Hashem, the not right things cannot come out. You see from this, even Hashem is meshane mipnei shalom. That's the lashon of the Gemara of Afa Kadosh Baruch Hu shina mipnei shalom. So this is another Gemara. Mipnei darkei shalom, you could actually say, you could mishana, you could not say the truth. And the question is, I think the same question is, how do we really step away from the pasuk that we have in this week's parsha that Bishama used of midvar sheker tirchak? How could we understand that sometimes you're allowed not to say the truth? So I have an idea of an answer I want to share with everyone. It could be there's other answers which are better. Maybe Rabbi Sruli will come up with something better after this year. Whoever wants to hear him, he doesn't charge? No charge. What? Yeah. So I think I have an idea of an answer, and there's a chiddush in it. The Rabbeinu Yonah was one of the great Rishonim. He's how is it called? Mishpatim. What? His son and his daughter got married. How do you say that? So the relationship of the two upstairs. Like the parents of the boy and the parents of the girl. What's their mechutanim? How do you say mechutanim in English?
In-laws.
The in-laws with
They're not in-laws, the two parents.
Elbows.
What?
Elbows.
The two sets of parents are not in-laws. Anyway,
I think he was mechutin with the Ramban, for sure that generation. And he wrote many Sfarim. One of them is now very famous with Daf Yomi holding in Brachos. There's Rabbeinu Yonah in the back, Talmidei Rabbeinu Yonah. And he wrote many Sfarim. But one of the Sfarim he wrote is a Shari Tshuva. It's famous Musar Sefer, and packed with many things. One of the things he discusses there is there's arba kitos she'ena mekablim pnei shechina. Many types of people, four types of people that are not mekablim pnei shechina. One of them is kas hashakranim, people who say lies. And he goes through different types of people that say lies, different levels. And he goes through two, what?
It says that when it's like when you lie, Hashem stalek mincha and sitra'acha kachlo.
It could be it says that. The Rabbeinu Yonah doesn't say that. Well, the Rabbeinu Yonah says that the worst sheker is when with your sheker, with your lie, you're causing damage to someone else. Through your sheker, damage is happening. For instance, somebody has something and you tell him, I think you should sell it for this price. You're lying about the product and he'll lose money because of it. So that's damage for someone else. That is a terrible sheker because through your sheker, there's damage for someone else. And that's I think the worst sheker that he describes is when hefsed is happening to someone else and you benefiting from it. He puts those two together. When there's damage for someone else and you're benefiting. Then he goes to another type of sheker. A guy that just says stories. He just makes up stories. I went here, and I got stuck, and I was waiting online, and the credit card didn't work. He's just making up stories just because the guy likes to lie. He just likes to lie. He's not benefiting anything. No one is giving him anything for it. He's not causing damage to anybody else because of his stories. He just, for the sake of lying, this is what he likes to do. This is how he carries himself. He likes to make up stories. So this, he says, is very, very bad. Also, but what's bad? It's not so bad On the one hand, it's not so bad because there isn't damage for someone else. So where is it terrible? Why is it so terrible? So he says it's terrible because you're just a person who likes to lie. You're doing it for the love to lie. And that's terrible. That's one of the bad shakranim. That's one of the things of shakranim that is bad in the list. But that problem over there is because you're doing it for the love of lying. And the Rabbeinu Yonah says that this type of lie, for dvar mitzvah, like to say on a kala she'ina v'chasuda, or for darkei shalom, he brings these two cases. For these two things, you're allowed to say such a sheker. You're allowed to make up something because you're not damaging anybody and you're not benefiting from it. So I think what the pshat is the whole problem in that type of a lie is because when a person is lying just for the sake of, because he likes to lie, the problem is that you have a love for lying. That's a problem. That is the problem in this type of sheker. But when you're doing it because you want to have peace, or you're doing it l'tzorech mitzvah, like to say kol hana v'chasuda, that there's a mitzvah involved, then why am I not saying the truth? I'm not saying the truth not because I like to lie. I'm not saying the truth because I have a good purpose behind it. In such a scenario, when it doesn't involve your benefit or damage for other person, then it's mutter. So what you see from this is the midvar sheker tirchak that the Torah is describing is for damage for someone else. Like it says in the pasuk here, it's described about a dayan. When he's going to do sheker in the din, damage is going to happen to someone else. That is the midvar sheker tirchak in a general way. Or just, you should step away from sheker for the love of sheker, like that, and that's what the pasuk is talking about. But when you're doing it not for the sheker, you're doing it for a good purpose, that's not included in this halacha of midvar sheker tirchak, and that's what Beis Hillel were saying. Of course, yeshabchena be'einav when someone buys something. I just want to end off with stories about two stories we had in our generation, or also about 20 years ago, here in America. Adam Gadol, his name was Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky. Did anybody hear of him? You heard of him? I heard of him too. So Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, was famous for never saying anything inaccurate. And there's many stories about him. One very famous one and one less famous. One of the famous ones is that when he was very young, when he was a bacher, he ate by somebody, and it was Pesach, and the host served him matzah balls that he didn't rely on the kashrus. So he didn't know how to get out of the situation because he didn't want to hurt her feelings and tell her, I don't trust this kashrus. For myself, obviously he didn't hold that so problematic. They asked to tell her, you can't eat it, it's treif. But he held, for him, he doesn't want to eat it. So he came up with an idea. He told her, I don't bruk. I think that's the word, bruk. So bruk means, for the Sephardim here that probably don't even know what it means, it's gebrux is, there's the whole Poland people, they don't put matzah in water. So they don't eat matzah meal, they don't eat matzah brai, different levels of how machmir they are, but matzah balls are with water and matzah, so they don't eat it. So he told her, my minhag, that's what I do, I don't bruk. And this was when he was very young, even though his minhag was yes. Ever since this, till the end of his life, he never after that ate bruks. This is a famous story about Rabbi Yaakov. He never ever said something that afterwards didn't follow through. But there's a story about him that he was Rosh Yeshiva. He was hired by Torah V'das and Reb Shraga Feibel Kalmanovitz. Mendelovitz. Reb Shraga Feibel. He was a Chassidish background, and Chassidish himself, I guess. And many of the Chassidim, they put on tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. There's two types of tefillin. There's tefillin of Rashi and tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. They have the different setup in the parshios, and the Chassidim do put it on, or a majority of the Chassidim many Chassidim put it on. So he told them, why don't you put it? So he came to Rabbi Yaakov, which was a Lithuanic Jew, and Lutta, they did not put on tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. So he told him, why don't you put on a tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam? Even the Chafetz Chaim put on tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. That's why even the Chafetz Chaim. So Rabbi Yaakov told him the Chafetz Chaim put on tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam when he was 90. That's when he started. when I'll be 90. You know, Rabbi Yaakov says when he's very young, and he thought, right, he didn't think too much probably. He's just like, when I'll be 90. When he turned 90, he started putting on tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam because he told Shaka Feibel, when I'll be 90, I'll start. So this is Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky. He's famous for not changing. They named this. I don't know if he named the sefer or they named the sefer Emes LeYaakov. And Baruch Hashem, we have many stories about this to inspire us. Okay, what do we walk away with? First of all, halacha l'maisa. Halacha l'maisa is a person should not lie. That's halacha l'maisa. Mipnei hashalom, or dvar mitzvah. To tell somebody that if you purchase something that it's good, even if you think not like that, you're required to do. Not only you're allowed to, you're required to do that. You're required to be involved and tell it to him. And Yehi Ratzon, that this week we should, remember this by Kriyas Torah and take it with us for next week, the Mischazik, in not saying the lies on the one hand, and yes, to say the right things on the other hand when they don't seem to fit with Midvar Sheker Tirchak. We should take it because we're following the way the halacha tells us how to learn up this pasuk. Everyone should have a great Shabbos and thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, Rabbi.